Welcome to Zaantu Fireside Chat again. We have Eduardo, Joseph, Nyson, Chelsea, and Louise here with us today. And basically, what we're talking about today is commitment and fear. And it's one of those topics that I think a lot of people struggle with, especially with what we hear FOMO, the fear of missing out, and also at the same time also being non-committal to something. It could be a relationship, it could be work, it could be anything that you need to get done. But maybe sometimes we really struggle with some of these things. So I, for one, did struggle with commitment and on certain things. I think back in my university days, I really committed to learning, software engineering. Yet I was doing biomedical engineering, and I really loved what I was doing, and I really committed full throttle to that. I didn't allow the people who say that okay, you're doing two things at the same time. Why are you doing this? I didn't allow those words sort of like get to me in a sense. But what I did was basically commit to what I wanted to achieve, and what I wanted to do was to get into hardware engineering and mix it up with software engineering so they can actually go ahead and create devices. And I really loved that, and I was really passionate about that. So 2 years later, after I joined university, I was out of university, did a diploma in biomedical engineering, and now I was facing the world, and I think I was a little bit scared. I was wondering, okay, how am I going to face this? I was torn between the words that I kept hearing about, would you go back? I mean, go to upgrade. So that was what people were telling me, go and get a degree. Other people were telling me, I think you need to go work in a hospital because that's where the job opportunities are for biomedical engineers in Uganda. And I chose totally software engineering. The words were they were actually quite confusing because I felt like I wanted to commit here, but at the same time, because of the pressure that I sensed, I wasn't 100% committed. So I did go on to apply for jobs as a biomedical engineer in different places. And I remember there's this one time when I went somewhere and I handed in my CV and my letter, and for some reason, I just prayed to God that they shouldn't pick me. Quite weird. But I just prayed that they shouldn't give me the place because it's not really what I want to do. So I did go on to meet someone else who gave me the opportunity to work on an Android application for them. And I actually enjoyed and I learned quite a lot doing that. And again, the fear set in, and I was wondering, how am I still going to survive on this? I did join someone else in another company, which was a biomedical company. I did also join another organization at the time to also support them. And somehow the dream that I had for the company that I wanted to build at the time sort of stalled, and I wasn't working on it anymore, simply because I was not focused on other people's work in a sense, which really wasn't a bad thing. But when I think about those times, I I feel like if I actually committed to pursuing Zaantu back then, 2016, I think would be much further than we are right now, because I really would have committed and done all that I needed to do. All of those things were just distractions at the time, and I thought that by joining and working with them, it would be an opportunity maybe to also earn some income as well. But I never really earned anything at the time. So right now, I'm married, and I also had to so commit in marriage. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to have choices in life where we have to stay committed to something or be scared about something. I've met people who are literally scared about relationships because they fear that, okay, what if it ends? What if this beautiful moment ends? And or what if we get a divorce? I mean, uh, there's so many distractions in the world that are going to prevent you, me, anyone else from actually committing and sticking to one thing and doing it quite well. And I think if we learn to tune out the noise and understand that, is this really what I want to do? And if it is, Just dive straight into it. Do not look left, right, just go straight fast. Because something that I've learned in the entrepreneur world is fail fast. If you could, if you're building a business, build it fast. Commit. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you've done it faster so that you don't end up wasting too much time down the road. And that's something that I've learned over the years. Do I still struggle? Yes, I do. I still struggle with fear and commitment. I still struggle a lot. But I just feel like it's something that people struggle with, and I just want to just hear what other people's perspectives are. Yeah, who would like to talk about their experiences in that regard?
I can say something. Um, so I guess I've experienced like similar fear of commitment. As like a university student, I'm interested in pursuing a career in investment banking, which nowadays is something you really have to commit to, like very early on. It's very competitive, and it's like it's honestly a bit scary to commit to, because you finish your applications, you finish your interview process by the end of sophomore year or your second year in university, at least in the US. And I've had a lot of like concerns of whether or not it's really like the right path I want to take, and if it's something I fully want to commit to. But it's also like if you're not committing, you're not gonna get you're not gonna get a role. It's really hard to get into that career. So I think what I've kind of learned from this process is even if you're not committing to like a specific career choice, you can still commit to gaining experience and gaining knowledge, because even if I decide maybe investment banking's not the right thing for me, I'll still have the benefits of having that experience and that knowledge, which is can be applicable to more than just one career. So I think even if you're not too sure about committing to one thing, you want to take the small steps and commit to maybe a broader picture that's still applicable to what your goals may be.
Nice. Thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, I think if you to commit to something and taking the smaller steps and getting to know, is this really for me? You find out much faster. I mean, rather than doing so many things and maybe it takes you 5 years to figure out what you really want to do with your life, versus if you do like this one thing and like 3 months down the road, you're like, I don't think this is what I actually want to do. So I think it's really important to just commit, take the small steps and see, is this really something for me? If it's not, then jump onto something else. And I feel like people's years have been wasted over time. I've had older people say, how I wish I started this when I was much younger. My wife was telling me about a story of a lady who worked her whole life, and um, she was working for some organization, and then she always had dreams of traveling the world, climbing the mountains and just going on vacation. And she never actually did. She never got the opportunity to. Sometimes maybe procrastination of some sort, all of that, fear, right? And now she's older, she's now retiring, and how she looks back and she's like, oh, how the years have passed by. I don't have as much energy as I used to have, and now I can't do what I wanted to do, in a sense. So, yeah, fear of commitment. Okay, guys. Nice one, Joseph, Eduardo, Luis. What do you guys think about or having experiences with fear and commitment?
Um, Good evening to our viewers. I'm Soriange Joseph, software engineer at Zaantu Technologies. Now, commitment and fear is a big thing because I have a few theories about this. If as a person gets into their late teens, for their whole life, they have not had to commit to anything serious, because your parents tell you go to school and you go to school. They tell you do this and you do it. Like you're a kid. Everything, every major life decision is made for you. So you offload the risk of that decision. If a school is bad, it's the parents that take on that risk, and maybe they change it or do something about it. But now, when you get to your late teens and into your early 20s, probably at university or done with campus, it's now upon you to make these decisions and take the risk. Because once you make that decision, let me say, I'm going to go into this career, you take the risk, because 2-3 years down the road, as you're still getting into the career and you've not yet landed a stable paying grow, or your business is not yet up and running with enough cash flow, people will be looking at you, and they're like, we told you should have done this. Or you remember all those people who told you possible alternatives, and that really brings a lot of fear into us. But at the end of the day, I think the earlier the better. The water won't get any hotter if you wait for it. Just shower with the cold water. It's what you have in that moment. And I think the other thing is, for like most people, again, I would say from my experience, the other thing about commitment is the visibility it comes with, whether in a relationship, whether with a business, it gets you that visibility. And I feel like most people tend to like to keep to themselves. So it's being in the spotlight. Of course, most of it is imagined up. It's just a brain thing, the brain playing tricks on you that you're in the spotlight, but you're not there. But still, we don't, most of us, unless we say people are very outgoing, we don't want to be in the public eye. And commitment to anything to a very good level will put you into the visibility, with the visibility of the public, which most people fear. So, but again, I would say, for that fear, it's unfounded. It's just a brain trick on you, but you have to figure it out. Maybe the other thing I would say, the only way in life that you can really succeed and achieve your goals is through commitment, and commitment is hard, but it's the path. So you have to do what you have to do to get what you want. Yes.
Thank you, Joseph. How about nice one, Eduardo and Louise?
Okay, so me, if I'm to talk about commitment, a lot of people, like our elders, they don't tell us about the journey, so they just give us like instructions, go here, go here. But they will tell you about their story once you have lost, like once you have learned your lesson. That's when they will come in to tell you about how they got committed, and that's how you learn. But to me, if okay, I have this feeling that if someone tells you, like, tells you his journey, like how you pushed up, and that way you can learn. Because me, I joined my university excited about the programming languages, and I had to get to each language, trying to learn it, and yet it was not the best plan to do so. And at the end of the day, I was lost in all the languages, trying to look for the perfect one. But later, now I learned my lesson. I taught myself a lesson, and now I'm seated at one programming language now. Thank you.
Yeah, what lesson was that?
Yeah,
Did you
well,
learn it? Tell us more.
okay, so at first, in our year one, they taught us C. So as I was learning C, yeah, well, it was quite interesting. So I had to explore more to look for some other programming language. So I thought maybe I could get everything in just 1 year. I wanted to be on market to get everything, so that even though anyone tries to say something, I can show them that I've learned a lot. But trust me, uh, it didn't help out.
So you wanted to really be good at C, and you were not good at C in the first year.
Yeah, and remember, I was even tackling some other. I had started Python. I had looked into Java, and so the worst case, I looked into JavaScript, and things had to fall apart. Yeah,
Things fell apart. What do you mean things fell apart?
JavaScript was another story. It told me to calm down.
Uh-huh. Sometimes we
Yeah,
get ahead of ourselves, right?
yeah, but now I'm committed to Python now. I was I'll stay committed to Python now.
Okay, so in learning all of those languages at university, you focus and say, you know what, I'm sticking to Python and
Yeah,
I'm going to focus here. You actually say that you are more interested in machine learning, so I guess that's where you're committed to right now, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. A nice one, and Louise. Do you guys have some personal stories?
Well,
It could be a
mine
relationship. You don't have to be school or something.
can, uh, well, mine will stem a bit more from high school. They say in high school in the early days we have like many subjects, 15, 17, around 17 subjects. So at the beginning, things are basic, things are simple, but as you get to maybe like senior three, the subjects become a bit less, papers become more, and you find yourself like you're not good at anything. Like it's not like you're passing everything. You're not good at anything, and one of the reasons is that you're being committed to many things at the same time. So I feel
Hmm.
that's one of the loopholes that makes us, that does not make us good at something. I feel like if you're going to be good at something, you should be committed to that one thing and be consistent in doing it, rather than me committing to four things at the same time. I will definitely not be good at any of them. So that's like kind of my theory. If I'm going to learn a new skill or do something that I expect output from, yeah, I believe that I cannot be good at four things at the same time and really pass them or something like that. So that's like my simple theory on that.
So, for your context, what did you commit to, or what were you afraid of? For your context.
Well, I used to focus on math. Yeah, I used to focus on math because I know if I read this, I can actually pass it. Then I would say like physics. If I read this, yes, I'll give it time, but I'm not going to pass it. So you know what? Let me commit to something I know that I'll maybe get more marks than the other thing. And that actually theory works out throughout life. Hmm? Because you could commit to something that you're not so good at, that someone else is better than you at it, and you're becoming average instead of committing to something that you'd have been excellent at. So fine, that is something we can look at.
Hmm. All right, cool. Louise, how about you?
For me, I hope you guys can hear me. My
Yeah, a little louder. Yeah.
so for me, my story is also from high school, basically the last year of high school, because I remember I was doing PEM, that's physics, economics, math, then with a stroke of sub ICT. And previously, when I was in senior five, when I was a semi candidate, I had a problem with I wanted to balance all subjects because I felt like I need to pass all of them highly, the physics, the math, the economics, the ICT, and the general paper. Like, and I would have a hard time because generally I think math was my best. I would perform fairly better at math than all the rest. But I would always wonder why I am not doing the same in physics. But then when I went to senior six, that was when I was a candidate, like I changed my approach, which is I remember in first term I gave most of the time to physics. Like I gave it to physics because physics was my worst. Like I would always be getting O's, 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 O's. So I said this time I'm going to give most of the time to physics and then a little to economics. I'm going to first leave math. So that's what I did, and I actually found out that I improved very greatly. Now I begin getting D's and sometimes C's. So when we went to second term, I said, okay, now I've upped in physics, so maybe now I can do the same in economics. I did the same in economics. No, I was not leaving the other subjects. Of course, I was reading them too, but I was allocating more time and more energy to the ones that I was low at. So I also did the same for economics, and by the time third term came, I could say I was, all subjects were streamlined, and that taught me a lot that you cannot put everything at the same level and expect yourself to, get better at everything at once. You have to first put one as a priority and first make yourself better at that, and then you improve like that. So I think that's what saved me. Yeah.
Cool. So we have all these things that we've probably not been committed to, but also at the same time, it becomes also difficult. Something that I've learned from you guys is that the moment you have like too many things that you're probably working on, it really becomes hard to commit. Or probably you'll probably not be giving each and every one of them a specific amount of attention to detail, right? Like 100%, right? So probably you have like 20% here, another 20% there, but you feel like you're doing too much, but you're not actually not doing anything. And it's something that I've learned is actually very important. One of the things that I have learned, I remember I read the book called Good to Great, and in this book, the author writes about the companies in the 90s, how companies he's talking about companies that did really great, right, in terms of their sales and their revenue over a period of time. And I remember in one of the chapters, he mentions the hedgehog concept. And I don't know why I call it the hedgehog concept, but basically, that what happens in this concept is that the companies that did extremely well focused on just doing one thing extremely well, and that's how they actually excelled. So that was one of the factors that actually enabled them to do extremely well. If a company had like 5 products, they cut off 4 and focus on one product. And because they focus on that one product, they were able to streamline resources, right? And also have better management in that regard. And that helped them differentiate themselves from the market or from other competitors and do extremely well in that regard, right? So that's a very important lesson, because something that I'm learning as well is we can't do everything, right? We can't do or have 5 different products at the same time. Definitely, it's going to cause a number of issues. But if we're able to sort of split and understand and say, okay, if we have this, it's going to be committed in this sort of direction. And that's why at Zaantu we said, let's split. We can't be, doing investment while at the same time technology. I mean, how does it mix? How does it match and mix? So that's why we have Zaantu Technologies and we have Zaantu Capital. Zaantu Capital is responsible for helping people find the investors that they need, right? And Zaantu Technologies is more focused on the technology aspect, building software, and also the recruitment side for people. So that's something that we learned, and we felt like we need to split. So yes, being committed to one thing is quite good, but then at the same time, there also could be, if you look at it the other way around, what happens if you're committed to the wrong thing? What happens if you're committed to the wrong relationship, right? You might lose a number of years, of your life in something, right, that you're actually extremely committed to. So I think we also need to also be careful to also understand that this one thing which I'm committed to, is it building me up or is it tearing me down, right? So that you also still don't lose years of your life down the road. And that's also another important lesson that I also had to learn the hard way. Um, if it came, I remember I had a relationship back at university, and it wasn't really a relationship that I should have committed to at the time, but I did. And still, there were lessons to learn from there. And I think at every turn in life, we learn lessons, whether we commit to something that's the wrong thing, I would say, or the right thing, right? But how do you make yourself suffer less? I think in life there's a lot of suffering. How do you commit to this one thing that's going to help you suffer less? I think that also is a very good um, question to ask yourself on a daily basis. This one thing, I'm probably going to suffer for it, right? I'm probably going to have sleepless nights. I'm probably going to work on weekends or whatever it will be, whatever you're committing yourself to, because life also has suffering as well. But then our question is, how do you suffer well? Or what one thing can you commit to that helps you suffer less? I think that's also a lesson that people could also pick from this. Yeah. I think that's for me for my parting shot on this specific topic. Does anyone else have a parting shot before we end the stream?
I would say to all our viewers out there, or people who are going to listen to this, commit. But in case you find out that you're on the wrong ship, I think the Japanese or those Asians have something like the best time to get off when you board the wrong train, the next best place to get off is the next stopover. So don't fear board the train, but in case it's wrong, you can always get off and refigure out your route. So, but don't fear to commit.
Cool. All right. Cool. Okay, so anyone else? Okay. So guys, that's been our fireside chat today, and thank you guys for listening to us. And if you guys have any questions or any comments, do send them in the chat, and we'll be happy to reply to that. Thank you guys. Thank you.